So last week we have mentioned the difference in the approach to Shamatha and Vipassana in the northern and in the southern tradition. Actually, when we study and practice Buddhism, we should be familiar with both approaches. They are not contradictory, they are complementary. There is no disciple without the Buddha, there is no Buddha without disciples. So we need to know both. And these both approaches in the Buddhist history, they have been in a way complementary in the sense that the great scholars of both traditions, they have been influencing mutually. So, especially the Chinese Buddhism has changed through this interchange. And it has developed a very unique approach for understanding both approaches in the syncretic way. In a way, we can say the greatness of Chinese Buddhism is in its syncretic approach. It does not mean that one should underestimate the one tradition and say the other tradition is better. One should see the advantages of both traditions. And the advantages of both traditions are really great. In our times, it is very important not to underestimate one tradition and to think that the other tradition is really superior. In our time, it is very important that all Buddhists work together for the mutual understanding. Without this mutual understanding, the Buddhism has no chance in this world. So, in my meditation teaching, and also now where we emphasizing more theory, I will also try to adopt a syncretic approach and try to reveal to you, according to my ability, the advantages of both traditions, which are definitely there. So I hope from what I have taught you, it is becoming very clear that the mindfulness, practice of mindfulness and awareness plays the central role in all understanding of Buddhism. No matter how we explain the practice of mindfulness and awareness, they are the key to all traditions. And without this key, we have no way to open the door of real Buddhism. Where there is practice of mindfulness and awareness, there is the genuine Buddhist practice. Where this aspect does not appear clearly, it cannot be a genuine Buddhist practice. Now we are talking especially about the practice of shamatha in the northern tradition. And we have explained that it is based on the theory of 9 stages of shamatha. You can also call them 9 stages of dwelling in the mind. Dwelling in the mind, we have explained, because we study meditation in order to understand that all the phenomena arise in the mind. It is through this understanding that we make progress in meditation and that we finally achieve all the realizations. So we have also mentioned the last time that in the understanding of shamatha in the northern tradition, the crucial role is attributed to attention or manasikara, zuoyi. The ways we attend to the object change as we grow in meditation. And this is directly reflected in our attention. When we become meditators, our way of attending to the object will change. So our worldview will also change. So if we do not have the habit of using mindfulness and awareness, the teachers of Northern Buddhism speak that our attention more or less always tends to be a forceful attention. In Sanskrit, this forceful attention is called bala avahana. They translate li li yun, li li liang the li, and ku li the li. So, because we are not familiar with meditation, we tend to bring objects to the mind forcefully, because we think there is a real self and there is a real object which is different from the self. We do not see that there is no object without the self and there is no self without the object. Because of that, we think we are masters of our mind, rather thinking that these mental factors called chaitas or chetasikas, shinsuo, shinshu, they are our masters. We are not masters of our mind. The mental factors are the masters of our mind. And because we always tend to emphasize we are the masters of our mind, therefore our attending to the object is very forceful. And if we do not experience the object as we want to experience it, so we get frustrated, we get angry, we are worried. because we do not understand the complexities of the mental process, starting with attention. So basically, we experience the object in accordance to how we make the object in the mind. And that is attention. So, according to the 9 stages of shamatha that we are explaining here, the mindfulness will not have a clear function in our cognition as long as we are bringing mind to the object forcefully. So this is, if you want to learn meditation, this is your job as a meditator. This is your task as a meditator. This is what is to be done. See in daily life, in everything you do, how, when there is forceful attention, we are not in a state of peace. Whatever we do will not have a quality of peace. Our movements will be not smooth, our speech will not be smooth, our thinking will not be smooth. Because we have not developed the quality of mindfulness. But now, because we are talking about meditation, we are talking about shamatha. The shamatha means appeasement. So, because we work with a meditation object, we turn the mind inside. So, we start to be clear that bringing mind to the object, attending to the object forcefully, will not bring us peace. But this habit of bringing object to the mind forcefully is very, very deep. It takes years and years of practice for ordinary meditators, that most of us are, to see how this habit is deeply detrimental for us. So we will change our habits. And the job of meditation is to change our habits, because according to Buddhism, it is the habits which control us. Because the habits control us, we are without any freedom, but we think we have freedom. When we start to see how detrimental is the habit of bringing mind to the object forcefully, then eventually we will be able to change our habits. So the mindfulness will become natural. According to the teachers of meditation in the northern tradition, the first two stages of Shamatha, are characterized by this forceful attention, forceful bringing of the object to the mind. Now, the first stage we have already explained is called establishing, or using the Chinese translation, dwelling inside. When we pay attention to the meditation object, we are dwelling inside. We have explained there is no way to develop quality of concentration and wisdom by the 5 sensual consciousnesses which are turned outside. We can only do it by mental consciousness, which is not turned inside, not turned outside, which is turned inside. When mental consciousness controls the 5 sensual consciousnesses, the peace will come. When the 5 senses control the mental consciousness, the peace will not come. We have explained in the beginning the simile in Abhidharma of the 5 black stones on the surface of the drum. If these 5 black stones are jumping, the mind will always be a monkey mind, because it will always go to the object which jumps higher. So, the mind is restless. Vikshipta chitta. Vikshipta means thrown all around. From the Sanskrit to kship, which means literally to throw. Now, according to Buddhist psychology, it is very important to understand. We should contemplate it all the time. No matter we speak of the Buddhist psychology as explained in the southern tradition or northern tradition, according to all schools of Buddhist psychology, Buddhist Abhidharma, this unrest of mind is the root to all defilements. Because the mind has unrest, pu'an, therefore the defilements arise. If the mind is in peace, the defilements do not arise. And we have explained in the beginning, when we are in the state of concentration, they do not arise temporarily, but through concentration we can learn wisdom not to let them arise at all, and it is a long process. It is a process which lasts very, very long if we take the practice seriously. It can last many lives. But our habits will change during this practice. And we will become different personalities. So, if we really make progress in meditation, if we really make progress in Shamatha and Vipassana, the result will be that mindfulness becomes a natural. As long as the mindfulness is not natural, we will not be able to really significantly reduce our worries, our depressions, our unwholesome states of mind. It is impossible. When we understand Buddhism, according to Buddha's teachings, knowing the dependent origination also means knowing what is possible and what is impossible. Because we do not know what is possible and what is impossible, we always use the forceful attention. And the things don't work our way. Maybe one day they do a little bit, the other day they don't do. So we become depressed, we become worried. We are full of self-criticism and we criticize others. When we criticize ourselves, we are bound to criticize others, for sure. Instead of understanding oneself and understanding others, we criticize ourselves and we criticize others. So, the peace becomes very difficult. As Dignaga says in the Pramana Vartika, when we experience the self as something real, we experience the other as something real. When we experience both self and other as something real, all defilements will come. So we have to get some knowledge that our mind is actually not our real self, because that what controls our mind is the whole kalapa, the whole structure of mental factors which control our mind. So what we experience as a self is the whole structure of different mental factors. Each of them has different function, different manifestation, different causes. So how can it be a real self? This is very important to understand. This is the core of Buddhist psychology. So everything starts in mind when we pay attention to the object, and this is due to the mental factor of attention. The eye has to attend to the object, then there will be the process of seeing. Seeing either pleasant or unpleasant. Ear has to attend to the object of hearing, then there will be process of hearing, either pleasant or unpleasant, or when neither pleasant nor unpleasant, then neutral. And this is true for the five senses, and this is also true for the mind objects. So we have two kinds of objects of the mind, those objects which follow the five senses, and those objects which crop directly from the mind. Those objects which crop directly from the mind, they are connected with abstraction, with the ability to think in an abstract way. And they can then connect the endless chains of sensual perceptions together. So only the mental consciousness can make a whole picture. And because it is turned inside, it will make the whole picture inside. It will not make the whole picture outside. And how we make this whole picture depends again on our habits. What you may pay attention to, I may not pay attention to at all. What you pay attention to, I may not pay attention to at all. Everybody pays attention to something which is connected with his, you can call it in Western psychology, subconscious mind, but in Buddhism there is no such thing as subconscious mind. We call it the basic mind. So what we pay attention to and how we pay attention to is based on our basic mind. And this basic mind is actually that which controls us, whether we are aware of it or not. It controls us in the sense that it decides to what we pay attention to and what we do not pay attention to. Now, learning meditation is becoming aware of this. When you become aware of this, it means you need mindfulness. Otherwise, without mindfulness, you will never become aware of it. So, the mindfulness has to come in so that the mind can find peace in itself. Now we have explained that the first two stages of Shamatha, they are stages of forceful attention. That means the mindfulness has not yet started to crystallize. These two stages, they are then called the establishing and the continuity in establishing. Now we have, despite the fact that we cannot meditate, we continue in meditation because we have the power of wisdom from hearing and the power of wisdom from contemplation. If we don't have this power, we don't continue meditation, because in the beginning stages, meditation is a big trouble. We always want to dominate the object instead of understanding the mind. And so meditation is trouble. And if we don't have desire, faith, practice, these factors we have explained, we will quit meditation. There is so many other much more pleasant things to do than meditation for the beginner. So actually very few of us meditate. Now in our modern world, even very few monks meditate. This is unfortunately so. I talked to the head of my sect in Sri Lanka some time ago. And he told me, he estimated that from this large number of monks, maybe only if the 10% have the habit of meditation, it is too much. Now the situation in China and Tibet, maybe I don't want to say anything. I am not so familiar. So, if one becomes a monk and does not meditate, of course it will be trouble, because the happiness of the monks and nuns comes from meditation. They should not indulge in the sensual pleasures. And this happiness will never come unless they develop the habit of mindfulness. This is same for all of us, no exception. So, because we have faith, we have enthusiasm, desire, we have a practice, vyayama. So, eventually we leave the first two stages of shamatha and we come to the third stage, where we can start fully appreciating the advantages of mindfulness, and the advantages of meditation become clear. This stage is called in Sanskrit avastapayati. Xiaju Woxiang. What is the Xianzang translation? Xiaju. No? Ava means down, stapayati means establishing down. How you establish your mind down? By mindfulness. Because you have established your mind down by mindfulness, then the movement becomes more smooth, the speech becomes more smooth, the thinking becomes more smooth. And you don't need anymore to bring your mind to attend to the meditation object by force. The mindfulness will do the job. And when the mindfulness starts to do the job, when you lose your object, you immediately notice it, so you don't indulge in useless thinking. So here we have a real opening for meditation, which happens when we see the great disadvantage of the forceful attention. This happens in the meditation is a learning of life. This happens in meditation, this happens in life, same. We learn meditation to improve the quality of our lives. When we get the habit of attending to the object by power of mindfulness rather than by power of sheer force and will, our way to finding peace in ourselves is open. If we do not come to these stages where mindfulness ripens, we cannot control our defilements, impossible. And because we do not control our defilements, our restlessness will be part of us. So that much for today. We start paying attention to the meditation object for 20 minutes and contemplate on the disadvantages of the forceful attention. Try to make the meditation object in your mind by mindfulness, naturally, and try to see when the mindfulness has a clear function, the meditation becomes easy. If the mindfulness has not a clear function, meditation is indeed very difficult. That is why, according to Buddhist psychology, the mindfulness is based on faith. This is a very difficult thing to understand, and nowadays mindfulness is becoming very fashionable, but many teachers of mindfulness do not understand it at all. In the traditional Buddhist psychology, the mindfulness appears on the base of faith. Because we have faith in the mind, we have faith in the dependent origination, we have faith in the teachings of the Buddha. So we can penetrate the vicious circle of forceful attention. Okay, so let us just do it. Yuan Ci Gong De Pu Ji Yi Qie Wo Dan Yi Zhong Sheng Jie Gong Chen Fo Tao. May the merits we have gained spread to all beings so that myself and them together attain the Buddhahood. Thank you.